The anticipation, the hope. The hope is the thing. It's like you get to watch these preseason games, which are really experimental. You get to see the young players, and you get to dream about what could be in the future. You get to see the Djed Spence renaissance.
Here we go.
Finally giving Spence a go, and it really looks like... I mean, it looks like he fits the bill. It's kind of... So, okay, I think there has never, or mostly never, been a doubt about Djed Spence's ability. I think he's...
Certainly in possession.
He's pretty obviously a very good footballer. The suggestion is that there's some off-field issues with Spence around things like timekeeping and commitment. Now, look, I'm someone who's always on time, and I'm sure that is very annoying to some people. But it's just not a priority to everyone, and I really struggle with the idea that a player should be discarded because they're late to training. I mean, okay, I'm making a lot of assumptions here because we don't know the detail, but...
Sure, or whatever else might be.
There's a whole host of stuff in his upbringing, background, psychology that mean that being on time is not his be-all and end-all, and I think that's okay. I think we should treat people as individuals, and yes, of course, you have a rule, and yes, of course, you have boundaries and you have punishments and you deal with them, but it annoys me that was one of the reasons. So I'm even more happy to see him get a second chance. The suggestion is that he knocked on Postecoglou's door sometime in pre-season and had a bit of a clear-the-air discussion with him. And
really hope so.
From what we've heard, he's been really performing in training, and I think it's fair to say that he's been performing in the matches. For me, one of the outstanding players in both matches so far. We had lots of questions about Djed Spence. So Son Renati said, if Ange allows it, how much does Spence help solve our dribbly boy issue? Aaron Lickstrahl says, not really a question, but just really want your thoughts on Djed Spence from these first two preseason matches. I know it's not a ton to go off, but he certainly seems to be much more of an offensive fit than Emerson and helps with homegrown numbers. Josh Emden says, after his performance against Hearts, yes, a friendly, so caveats here, there and everywhere, I'm suddenly very keen to keep Spence as a rather Udogie-like ball carrier on the right. Where are you, Nathan?
Yeah, and Aaron also name drops Archie Gray, so it's like one of these two. Homegrown, Windy.
Homegrown, can cover left and right.
Oh, yeah, you can play left as well. Look, it's pre-season and it's 2 games. It's not, for me, quite as simple as he's a good enough player. Is he a good enough person? Because defensive awareness is still a tactical weakness in this game that's worth considering. But, I mean, I've said worse about Porro's defending previously, right? There's a lot there to work with. His in-possession game is really, really strong. Really, really strong. I'm certainly not in a rush for us to go out and get a backup right back right this moment. And look, we've got more pre-season to work with. Give it a couple more games, tougher opposition. Maybe we see some glaring weaknesses. Maybe he overplays the ball. Maybe his defensive awareness is going to be a weakness when the opposition have got like a real threat to go behind him, things like that. But right now, certainly curious about what we might already have on our hands.
Like a new signing.
You're going to get in trouble.
I know, that was naughty, wasn't it? I think the dynamism he gives on the right with his ball carrying and it's not just the carrying, is it? It's like the sense of purpose when he's carrying. When he picks up the ball and gets to full flight, he's really hard to stop, and he just wants to hit the touchline and make something happen. And I think that is where he's slightly different to Udogie, who's a really, really strong carrier as well, but he hasn't got that same kind of
He wants
intent.
to give and go in the final third.
Yeah, absolutely. And he wants to maybe end up around the centre spot, around the penalty spot, whereas Spence wants to hit the touchline and cut the ball back. So there's a difference there. Also, I think, I think the Udogie comparison is legit. Like, they're much more similar in profile to Spence and Porro, for example. But Udogie is a brilliant, brilliant defender, and that is his main strength for me.
1v1, 100%.
Yeah, brilliant 1v1 player. And Spence isn't as good defensively. Sure. I think Spence is a better dribbler, but in the sense that he's better at committing defenders. Yeah. I think he's a better passer than Udogie. So, yes, nowhere near as strong as Udogie defensively, but there are upsides to Spence for sure. Yeah, I'm excited about his renaissance, and I really hope he continues to play this well in the matches on tour.
I mean, this profile of fullback that we're looking at, both sides, when you're looking for players who are either currently or potentially going to play an inverted role for you. The most important thing is their ability to receive and contain the ball under pressure. And man, let me tell you, there aren't that many candidates in elite or sub-elite football. So if you're like, he's okay, but he's not great, that's kind of what we're working with, man. Djed Spence is in a not enormously long list of if we're going to add left and right together, probably less than 20 players who can potentially fulfill this role for us that are, not outside of our budget already a team competitive to us. I definitely think it's worth giving him some more of pre-season to see how he gets on in training, see how he gets on in these games. We're talking about someone who would be happy to be second choice, right? That's kind of the thing when we talk about a player with attitude issues potentially, or even if it's just timekeeping. It's okay, but are you going to be professional, and are you going to accept that you're not likely to displace Pedro Porro? Because if we want to go out and bring in, Ferdi Kadioglu, we want to go out and bring in Geertruida, we want to go out and bring in Ebazeli, are any of these players necessarily happy to be second choice, or are they only going to be, well, this team are going to offer me first team minutes? Another reason why sometimes what you have at home might be more than good enough. Thiago Santos, he's surely going to be first choice for someone else if he moves this summer.
And the thing is, we saw Porro especially suffer for playing too many minutes last year. So it's a second choice, but massive caveat. Loads of minutes available, loads of opportunity, both sides. I think it just makes so much